Hi there, it's Leanne Ebert from Walls Revived. Now this video I'm going to show you how to paint wood frames to white. So if you want to do this yourself, follow these steps and you will achieve professional results. Or if you want to know why painters charge what we do, follow along so that you can see the many steps involved and the process it takes. Okay, so there's a window here behind me. It's probably about 30 years old, untouched, and the homeowners just want to upgrade. Actually, a huge renovation is happening in this whole house, and I will be painting the walls. You can see some patches down here that I did. Okay, so first step, of course, construction zone, like I mentioned, and anytime you need to dust off all the debris and whatnot. Also, people always ask, do I need to sand? Well, yes and no. The primer that I'm going to be using doesn't really require sanding in particular because it will stick to it. But if there's rough edges, it's always, good to sand it down. And in best practice, it's good to sand as well. So, and I'll be sanding in between coats anyways. But here. All right. Just wipe off that dust. If you paint over dust, there's a possibility that the paint won't stick, of course, or later on the paint will start bubbling or flaking. Not bubbling per se, but it won't stick because you need to get the contaminants off. Okay, so what I'm going to be using first is PrimeLock. Now this is an oil-based paint. The reason I need to use it is because it's wood and we don't know what's on there. It's 30 years old. There could be tannins in the wood. So a lot of people don't know this step and they just start painting white semi-gloss on top. And then all of a sudden it starts turning yellow and it's like, what the heck? What's happening? Well, because you need a stain blocker first. So I'm using PrimeLock as I mentioned. You can pick this up at your local Benjamin Moore stores, or something in another name brand is Kills. You can use that too. Okay, so what you want to do, make sure it's stirred up really well because it can settle to the bottom. All right, so essentially just put it on pretty thick but smooth. You don't want to goop it on either because it will see through. The top coats the paint. Okay. I'm getting right close up there. Okay. Now normally I would open the windows for ventilation, but if you can see out there, there's snow. It's minus 21 degrees Celsius today here in Edmonton. So no, I won't be opening the windows. Luckily no one's home, which helps because it's oil. This product's a little stinky. There's a bit of an odor to it. But that's what is needed, so yay me. Also not a bad idea to wear gloves. To get rid of oil off your skin, you usually need like a thinner. I don't really like doing that, so it's harsh on your skin. So just wear gloves. Also, I will be painting the walls as I mentioned, so I can therefore get paint on the walls because I want to get on the sides here. Really get it in there. You'll notice too that oil, it doesn't flow very smooth. It's kind of sticky. So the top coat's going much quicker and smoother and they glide better. Okay, so just get it on there thick. Essentially this is your first coat. So the smoother and thicker and more solid you can make it, the less top coats you're going to need. I see it many times on DIY projects. The clients painted the doors and trims themselves. They're just like, I hated it. So it took so much work. And I look and I was like, it actually needed another coat, because some people, unfortunately, they buy the product that's like one coat and done or whatever. No, that rarely ever works. Rarely works unless you're painting like the same color. So don't be fooled by those gimmicky paints. I know that's how they like to sucker in the DIYs, right? Like, ooh, less coats. Sure, but it's not going to look really good. Okay. So I'll continue on and then I'll come back. The recoat time is 1 to 2 hours. So hold your horses. There's actually a step in between, which is super important. So I will come back to you in an hour or two. All right, I'm back. So obviously here I painted the window frame. I've let it dry for, I'm guessing, about 1 to 2 hours now. Just so you guys know, it did take me about half hour to paint, which is quite a long time because it's tedious work. And like I mentioned, oil doesn't flow very nice and it's kind of sticky. So it's a little hard to work with. I did forget to mention while I was painting, I just do it automatically. While painting on wood grained material, follow the wood grain. So, you can see the wood grain. It goes like, you see the little lines in there, right? So paint with the wood grain. Don't go against it because you will see the brush marks and we don't want that. That looks unprofessional. Okay, so next step, and this is the important one, is filling the cracks and the holes. Wood grain is a little bit more forgiving because it shows texture. If you were to do flat trims, that's a whole nother video, different technique. So this is a lot more forgiving, but we want to dap the cracks or else you're going to see it. I did a little picture for that. The product that I use is DAP, Alex White. Make sure it's paintable because a lot of people get confused with acrylic latex or silicone. Okay, silicone is typically used in bathrooms, so make sure that's paintable too. I've got other videos on that. So what I like to use is the fast dry. It's ready to paint in 20 minutes, and it's professional. I want to get it done fast, right? Otherwise, if you paint over like DAP or caulking as we call it too quickly, as the DAP dries, it will probably crack the paint, and we don't want that. So make sure you read and follow, and then only recoat it once it's dry. Okay, so I'm not gonna make you watch the whole thing, but essentially, make sure you have a rag with you, or a wet rag, and go in the cracks. You don't need a whole lot. And then usually run your finger along it. Disclaimer, you might get a splinter. I've got a couple already, so I don't know how to really prevent that. You can maybe try and sand it beforehand, try and prevent it, but sometimes it happens, unfortunately. You could wear a glove, but splinters will pierce through that too, so that's no good. That's no good. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and caulk all the cracks, let that dry. There are a couple little nail holes, so I'll fill that. It's best to fill the holes with like a spackle or like a wood putty as well. You can use this. I don't recommend it. It's not sandable. I don't think it is. Some people say it's sandable. I don't agree with that. So holes, use like a wood putty, and cracks, use DAP. See you in a short bit here. All right, I'm back. It's been several hours. I was busy oiling up a bunch of other spindles and doors and frames and stuff. Big project here. Okay, so this is all the primer's dry and ready to be top coated. First coat, top coat. It's probably going to be 2 top coats. I'm guessing, yeah. Okay, so I feel it. It's dry to the touch, of course. It is a little bit rough, so this is where we do some sanding. Sorry, my voice kind of disappeared. It happens when I work alone and use oil all day. So I'm using like a medium fine grit sanding sponge. You don't want it too rough or else it's actually going to scrape off the primer, and it might even show little edges and grooves. So we want something that's, you know, medium to fine, just to knock off any of the little paint particles that might be sticking up and stuff. What painters do, usually we stand with one hand and feel with the other one, barehanded. Me anyways, because I can feel imperfections, bumps or whatnot. And this is what I do. It's what I was trained to do. The painter's touch. Several meanings with that. Okay, so nice and smooth. I also like to point out that I get these types of sponges so that they fit into corners nicely and don't rub the edges. If you ever came across it, you'll know what I mean. If it's like a standing block and you try and go like this, you actually end up scraping along the other edge too. Okay, so just want to wipe this off. See, it's a process. And yeah, like I filled all the cracks, including, you know, the sides, underneath. Because when you don't fill the cracks, that's what your eye is drawn towards. So our goal is to, everything to be like seamless. You know, a paint job has been well done when you don't notice it. You know what I mean? Okay, so I'm short, I'll need a ladder. I'm just not going to bring it out for this. This goes on so much smoother, quicker. It's dripping here. Look, too much on my brush, it was soaking in there. All right. I'll tell you what product I'm using in a moment here. But yeah, this will take me a fraction of the time to prime it. Ooh, nice. Once again, go along with the wood grain. Getting the side. So just like that, all the way around. That's a good first coat. All right, so the product that I'm using, Benjamin Moore Advance in Semi-Gloss. The clients chose the color of, oh, I forgot already. Steam. It's not a very common color, but it's a good cream. And so Advance is a wonderful paint. The only downside is that the recoat time is 16 hours in between. Not the best, but since this project isn't like super rush, then I choose to use Benjamin Moore Advance. There's self-leveling properties, so you put it on and it just sort of smooths itself out, so it diminishes the brush strokes. The other thing, oh yeah, I use this on cabinets. It's really durable. It's like it's a hybrid enamel based paint hybrid. It's an excellent product. I definitely recommend it. So I'm going to continue doing that, and then I'll have to come back tomorrow and do the second and final coat, and we'll check in then, and then you'll see just the long process that it takes. Thanks.